Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio inside Mac 6 Conscious Workspace in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I'm your host and Phoenix Business Radio Studio CEO, Karen Nowicki, and I am very excited about our guest today and the conversation we're about to have. We're going to talk a little bit about businesses, small businesses, and giving back. And specifically today, we're going to talk about giving back to UMOM New Day Centers. So to kick off our show, I'd like to introduce you to our guest. We have Corporate Development and Events Manager Stella ORourke with UMOM New Day Centers, CEO Jessica Savidge with Savidge Corporation, and Realtor and CEO Danny Brown with Myriad at My Home Group. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thrilled to have each of you here. Let's start with Danny, because I think his team is responsible for bringing this incredible group together. Danny, tell us a little bit about yourself, your real estate practice, and I understand that you are a homegrown boy. You are native to Arizona.
I am, yeah. So I grew up here. I was born in 81 and grew up in Mesa, and then moved to Tempe for high school.
Where'd you go?
Corona del Sol.
I'm a McClintock graduate. My two kiddos are Corona graduates. I didn't know that little tidbit of information. Very good. So sorry. You are graduating.
No, you're totally fine. I was actually introduced to UMOM when I was in high school, part of a youth group. We served food at UMOM, like back in this had to have been in like 95, I think. So really long time ago. And then, over the course of time, I got into residential real estate, helping buyers and sellers here in Phoenix. I started my own company in 2013, got licensed in 2007 during the Great Recession. So I learned a lot during that time. Yeah, started my own company in 2013, and we operate a little bit differently than most real estate teams that are out there in terms of we're a group of 6, and we all work together for the benefit of our clients. So your normal real estate teams are basically all these little independent people working for themselves within a team, where we all kind of work together for the benefit of our clients, kind of coming together, offering them resources, our different backgrounds, and really kind of coming together as a cohesive unit.
That's great. At Arizona State University graduate? Is that what did I read that as?
Yeah. Graduated from ASU in 2004 with a business management degree.
And did you know then that you wanted to do real estate?
No, actually, I was in banking for a really long time and realized that after bouncing around from a couple of different banks that retail banking was not my future, and actually bartended for almost a year, which is where I met my wife. I was a bartender and she was a cocktail waitress. A friend of mine at the time said his family was growing their real estate team and asked me if I had any interest in joining. My grandfather was a realtor with Century 21 back in the 80s working in Sun City. And I had very fond memories of going with him to his various listings and checking on the properties and helping him make flyers. And so it had always kind of interested me as an option. So when the opportunity was presented that my friend's team was growing, I kind of jumped at the chance and worked in real estate and bartended for a period of time before going all in on real estate, right as the real estate market was collapsing around everybody.
Yeah, what was that like? Had you been asking yourself, what am I doing?
I was very fortunate during that time to be given the opportunity to interact with banks and help them sell their inventory, because unfortunately a lot of people were going to foreclosure. And I learned a lot during that time. It was kind of trial by fire. No one had ever faced anything like this before. The banks had no idea what they were doing. And so I had to invent systems and figure out ways to not only help the banks, but also help the people that the foreclosure had happened to on how to transition out of the home. It was really trial by fire and made me a veteran in the real estate industry extremely quickly, because we were doing upwards of 150 transactions per year during that time for like a 3 or 4 year period because there were unfortunately that many foreclosures in the Phoenix area. And it was definitely not glamorous work. These properties were in some rather low income areas. People were justifiably upset during that time, so they didn't leave the homes in the best of condition. So it was a lot of work, and those houses at the time were very, very inexpensive due to the state of the market. And so it took a lot of sales and a lot of work to be able to kind of just provide for my own family and pay my bills.
I love that you share the story, and that just happens to be during a time where there was a recession, right? So here we are in our conversation today, and we're in another unique, unprecedented time. How much of that are you feeling again? And how are you leading your team now as the leader, right? The owner of the company and the leader. Been there, done that in some ways, right? I'm guessing your clientele is different and your team is, of course, is different. But could you speak to what's showing up in your heart and your mind a little bit as all of us navigate this uncertain time?
Yeah. So, what we're going through right now is wildly different than what happened in 2007, 2008. 2007, 2008 was really a product of people taking advantage of individuals that didn't know any better. And over the last, 10, 12 years since then, people have really educated themselves. There's been a lot of protective programs put in place to keep the public from being harmed. And so housing is in a much better situation now than it was in 2007, 2008. 2007, 2008, we never thought home values could go down. And we just thought that gravy train was going to ride forever. And, I didn't have my real estate license during the boom time. I only had it post cycle. And so what I learned from that is how to look out for people's best interests, because no one was looking out for the consumer leading up to the crisis. And I vowed to myself when we were helping the banks was that when this passes, if I'm in a position to actually help people, that I'm never going to put my needs ahead of theirs, that someone really needs to look out for the benefit of the public and make sure that the homes that they're buying, the things that they're doing, they're being properly educated so that they can make decisions that are in the best interests of them and their family. And that's really the cornerstone of our business, is people ahead of profits and always putting our clients' needs ahead of our own. And even in times where that tells them that we think they're making a financial mistake, that they shouldn't spend as much as they're spending based on the budget that they gave us, and really trying to be that voice of reason for our clients.
Love it. We need more honest business owners like you. Speak to us a little bit about your relationship with Jessica and her company. I know that she said before we came on air that you were the one who introduced her to UMOM. I'd love to hear a little bit about the working relationship amongst you guys, and then we'll kick it off to Jessica to introduce herself. And then we're going to circle around to Stella and really get into the meat of the conversation on behalf of our community and all the great work that they do at UMOM.
Absolutely. So Jessica and I became friends through mutual friends. She was introduced to me when she was ready to purchase her first home in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And so we had the pleasure of working together during that time. Her photography company has helped us in taking photos of some of our higher end listings. Jessica's very talented. We've used her to take photos of some of those higher end listings that deserve a more professional kind of touch. She has been instrumental in photographing our team and making us look good. And recently, she has come on board as a strategic partner in helping us with our brand awareness and kind of helping us tie all of our marketing together. And so our relationship has really kind of grown and expanded over the last 3 or 4 years that we've known each other. And she's amazing. I love when she comes into our office and talks to our team, and the ideas that she has to help us grow and get the message that we have out there in a way that makes sense, to really show the public that we are one of those businesses that put the needs of the public ahead of ourselves. So I'm a huge fan of Jessica and what she does.
Oh, I love it. I'm blushing for you, Jessica.
Thank you, Danny. That is so kind. Well, Danny and I had the benefit of being introduced as friends, like he said, which is actually, it's crazy. I was realizing the other day, I've been in Arizona for going on 7 years now. And Danny, we met through mutual friends, and it was one of those, like, it was always in the back of my head, like, Danny's a realtor. I know that, and many of my friends had used Danny's company. So when it was time for me to find my own place, it was like, well, obviously, duh, I'm going to call Danny. But having a friendship with him was great, because then that trust was already established when I needed him, for something like that was so huge in my life. And then, getting to know him and his team, it was just sort of a natural evolution of like, oh, you do this, let me help you out with this,
I love hearing that. We do the same at Business RadioX. My clients are folks who host their own shows here at our studio. And I love when I can reciprocate, as you both have described, and start using their services. It becomes this one big extended family. And again, we do business with people that we know, like, and trust, right? So it makes sense to do that. So if you would please, Danny did a great job kind of teeing it off to talk about photography and video, all that, and now even brand awareness. Can you get us a little bit deeper into who you are and the kind of clients that you work with? And I know that you've also won several awards too, so please don't be bashful. Speak to your acknowledgments as well.
So my company is Savidge Co., and it has evolved over the years into sort of a full-scale creative consultant company. So I originally started my career what feels like a million years ago in television production, and then had a slight detour into law school. We won't talk about the horror that is that. And then actually out of that became a professional photographer, and my career really has been built on my still photography. So, and that's how most of my network was built, and so many of the people that I work with. And I actually worked for several years with a museum here in Phoenix, the Musical Instrument Museum, which is an incredible institution. If you haven't been, I highly recommend going as soon as we're out of quarantine state. But even while in quarantine state, you can visit. They're doing all kinds of cool online stuff, as so many companies are. So anyway, with them for years, I was in charge of I was their visual media producer, and was just so fortunate to travel the country and actually eventually the world producing their special exhibition little documentaries, which was great, with an incredible team there. And since leaving that, have gone on and continue to do that for a variety of companies. I work with Flower Bar in Scottsdale. That is top of mind right now because we just produced a bunch of segments for quarantine, where I'm trying to help the businesses I work with kind of pivot while they can't be open for, retail or normal operations, and do other things. Do a lot of video work. I do a lot of still photography. And as Danny mentioned, also just general consulting with brand identity and marketing and graphic design. Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot, but what a great career. And speak to your Telly Awards, please.
Oh, yes. I have 4 Telly Awards under my belt.
Just 4, ladies and gentlemen, just 4.
Just 4. Well, I'd like more, that drive just never goes away. Yes, a couple of those are with, when I was, the work I did with MIM, and then a couple of those are on my own, and I'm hopeful maybe another 1 or 2 in the future. We'll see. And then actually one of a publication that I work with out of New York, Engineering News Record, I just found out last week that a cover story I shot for them last year was awarded a Neal Award for editorial journalism. So that's really exciting too. I love the folks at ENR. They're incredible. They're doing great work during the pandemic too.
That's exciting. So you really have worked with all different industries, verticals, nonprofits, large businesses, small businesses.
Yes.
Yeah, love it. So when, again, Danny's team reached out and said, hey, we'd really like you to do a feature on UMOM. And speak to me, if you would, please, why they circled you in. Because you've had a chance before we came on air to share with me that you've got to be there and volunteer and help. What is it that you've seen about UMOM, just based on your knowledge about all the organizations you work with, that really appeals to you?
Well, I mean, the thing that's incredible about working with nonprofits in general, these are people who really selflessly, like, a job is a job, but like you could do any job, and working for a nonprofit is really, it takes a special person and it takes special people. And to see what these people are doing for our community is incredible. And so when Danny was talking about what he wanted his efforts to be for the year for charitable donations, and he mentioned UMOM, and his team was really on board with UMOM, I was like, that sounds amazing, and I personally at the time wasn't aware of UMOM. So, I looked into it, I looked at their website, I was like, wow, this is super cool. Like, what are you guys going to do? Like, how is this going to work? Danny explained, and his team explained, like, we're going to go and we're actually going to like donate our time personally. So it's not just what's great about Danny and his team, it's not just a financial donation. These are people who are willing to take time out of their own days, out of their own lives, and give back. And that's just as important as giving financially. So when they were talking about it, I was like, I'm in, let's go. Yeah. And so we went with the team. I showed up with a camera to document, because that's what I do. And it was really great to see, because like not only are Danny and his team great, all of the staff and volunteers that we met that day at UMOM, everybody was so kind. They were just genuinely so kind and hardworking, and there was just no there was no ego involved in it. It was just lovely. It was a really nice experience, and it was nice seeing the families coming in and having their lunch there that day, because we were in the kitchen, and it was great. I was just so impressed, and it just feels good to be able to give back in that way.
Wow. Well done. Don't you think, Stella? I know we're going to have a chance to tee it off to you here in just a second, but I think that she's done a pretty good job getting ready to have us hear from you, correct?
Yeah, definitely. You explained UMOM really well. I don't even know if I need to be here. So thank you. Yeah, thanks for all the accolades as well. We appreciate it.
So great to hear that your staff and your team are friendly and warm. Of course, as Jessica pointed out, in order to be in nonprofit, you've got to have a servant heart. Tell us, if you would, please, let's back up for our listeners who, like Jessica, wouldn't know anything about UMOM. Who do you serve? Where are you located? Just give us kind of the overall introduction, if you would, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So UMOM actually started in 1964, so we've been around for quite a while now. Our main campus is now located at 32nd and Van Buren, just slightly adjacent to downtown. And we're a local organization, which really makes us kind of unique and different. So we only serve individuals experiencing homelessness here in Arizona. So we are not national. So people, especially right now, it's really important to support local and helping local businesses and stuff like that at this time. So that's why this great partnership has really evolved as well, is because we're all local organizations, which is great. So UMOM serves people experiencing homelessness. We like to say that. We believe that homelessness isn't something that people experience forever, so they're just experiencing it right now. And so we serve families, single women, and unaccompanied youth. And there might be youth who have been in the foster care system and have aged out and then don't have anywhere to go after that, or maybe youth who have migrated to Arizona for whatever reason. It could be also college students who are homeless at this time as well. So that could be any kind of youth, typically anywhere ages from 16 all the way to 21, 24, somewhere in that range. And we provide different services. Emergency shelter is one, affordable housing, some of which we build ourselves, and then others we partner with organizations apartment complexes throughout the community. And then we have another program called Rapid Rehousing, which is a preventative program that helps us, individuals with kind of weaning them off of our services, but then helps them kind of give them that little extra cushion. And then we have an outreach program for youth down in Tempe. So we have a few different areas in which we serve individuals. And again, our main individuals are families, single women, and youth in that way.
Did you say 1964?
Yeah.
Wow, that's the year I was born. I'll go ahead and admit it. So when you say you've been around a long time, they've been around a long time.
Yeah.
Tell us, just a handful of years. Tell us how this COVID-19 is affecting families and single women and youth who are homeless. What are you hearing and what are you seeing?
Yeah, so it's been a really difficult time. The population that we serve already has been really known to be just very vulnerable, and some of the most marginalized people in Arizona. People kind of overlook the homeless population, and oftentimes people are really shocked that we serve families. They're like, well, I've never seen, a mom and her kids on the streets, and you won't. invisible to the streets and things like that, to the naked eye, if you will. We're often thinking that people experiencing homelessness are only the people who have maybe mental health or substance abuse issues or things like that. And actually, homelessness can look like you and me. It can look like the neighbor down the street. You just never know how people are struggling. And so this pandemic has been specifically really difficult because a lot of people are getting laid off who have already just tried really hard to solidify a job or some type of employment. It's also really difficult for people experiencing homelessness to adhere to the stay-at-home order if you don't have a place to call home. So living in your car or living on the street or living in a crowded area, that doesn't help with social distancing. That's not helping you keep maintaining your hygiene. It's also really hard to disinfect if you don't have the proper supplies. It's hard to stay safe. So that's another huge area. We have a program called Homegrown Training, which is a 6-week training program that we utilize on our campus. It's in our Helpings Cafe, which we have since closed just temporarily while we're, trying to make it through this pandemic. But our homegrown training program served anywhere from 10 to 15 clients who can come in and get front of the house, back of the house, food and hospitality industry type training. And so because of that, some of them have graduated and are ready, to get in the workforce. And then that is one of the biggest industries that has been hit due to all this stuff that's going on with COVID. So there is a ripple effect to what's happening right now. And resources are being depleted throughout grocery stores. So even if you did have an extra $5 to go buy some, big gallon of soap or something like that to help support your family, it's just not there. So there's, first you're battling to decide if this, $5 to $10 is going to help feed your family, or if this, is going to help you buy hygiene, products to stay safe, or disinfectants or things like that. Housing insecurity is an all-time high. We're just kind of at a big place where we're stuck. And especially for families who have already been really vulnerable and marginalized, it's really hard. Things just kind of continue to snowball in that way.
So much. We're faced with so much. And it's we're grateful, obviously, for organizations like you. So Danny, there's a restaurant connection there. I can't. Was that part of your draw and desire to get involved in UMOM? Tell us a little bit about why UMOM and how you and your team landed with this organization.
So, like I said, I was first introduced to UMOM back in the mid '90s when I was in high school, and truth be told, after that, I kind of forgot about them. And my wife is actually a member of their board. She started as part of their YPC, which is kind of like a junior board that helps out with UMOM, and then graduated to their regular board. And just being associated with UMOM through her really got me interested in the organization. I'm super passionate about Phoenix. As a native, I love Phoenix, and I love that they're local, that they're not a national brand, that they're really fighting to end homelessness in Phoenix, specifically the greater Phoenix area. And with me being in real estate, it just kind of aligned. And it's not just about ending homelessness, it's about making sure that Phoenix has affordable housing for people. One of the big draws for people to move to Phoenix is the cost of living. And with where things have gone, the cost of living has gotten way more expensive, and our wage growth has not kept up with the cost of living. Stella touched on this, that anyone can end up homeless. She told me a story on one of our first tours about how they had a doctor who was a resident at one of their locations. And I mean, that's a doctor. And so that just reminded me that homelessness can affect anyone. And when you start to fall down that trajectory, that it is really hard to get out. And UMOM is not about free handouts. They're about building people back up, giving them the tools, giving them an opportunity to get back on their feet. And that really hit home for me, because these are people who don't want to be, a burden on society. They don't want to be in that position. They want to be out of it. They just need some help getting there. And so that mission really hit home for me. And so getting involved, it just seemed like a natural thing to do.
Love it. Tell us a little bit about the partnership then. Obviously, Jessica mentioned that you guys go and you volunteer. You've been in the kitchen. It's not just a financial donation, a commitment. Are you getting your clients involved? And how is your team involved as well?
Yeah, so we started a program last year where every referral, my business is all based on referrals and word of mouth marketing and that type of thing. So to try and get our clients involved and reward them, rather than sending them just like a gift card or something like that for sending us a referral, we donate 5% of the income that we receive from any referral to charity. And so last year we were able to raise over $10,000 for another local charity here in Phoenix, which, for us, for 6 people, that was a large amount of money to be able to donate. And we were super excited to be able to do that. And we're hoping to match that again this year. So for any referral that we receive that ends up resulting in helping somebody buy or sell a home, 5% of that income goes straight to UMOM. And so we want to continue that, and we want to surpass the $10,000 that we did last year. Obviously, being on lockdown has kind of put a little wrench in the system, but we're still really confident that we can do that for this year. It's still pretty early in 2020, and so that's our mission and our goal is to be able to donate over $10,000 to UMOM, in addition to volunteering there when we're no longer grounded.
Yeah, when we're able to. Love it. Tell us a little bit about your clientele then. You mentioned, obviously, it's referral based. I was in real estate years ago and was blessed with a referral-only business as well. There's nothing greater than that, right? When you do a great job for people, and as Jessica kind of modeled when she was describing your relationship, it just was a no-brainer to work with you. Is there a particular transaction you like working with most? What level of homes are you working with, or is there a variety?
So the 2 favorite transactions that we have ideally are, we love helping first-time home buyers because it's just so much fun. They have really no expectation of what the real estate transaction is like. So we get the opportunity to really educate them, set the bar super high, which in our industry, unfortunately, is not hard to do because the bar is relatively low. It's just so much fun because they are so excited to be able to buy their first home. And we really get to partake in that. The other transaction that I absolutely love, that's my favorite, is helping people sell their current home to buy the next home. And not because it's a 2-for-1 deal or anything like that. It's because it's such a complicated transaction. It's this puzzle that I have to put together and solve to get our client from point A to point B in this simplest, most stress-free way. And I look at that as a challenge because those transactions are so different each time. And so when I get to participate in helping people go from A to B, I really get a chance to think outside the box and really play an integral role in helping people do that. And for me, that's a lot of fun, especially when it's successful. And helping people buy a home for us is more than just helping them buy like a product. It's, your home is somewhere where you're going to create memories, raise kids, celebrate holidays. And so it's way more than just helping somebody buy like a car or some piece of equipment. And so we approach that with knowing how important that is for every transaction. But the 2 that we love the most are first-time home buyers and helping people sell in order to buy.
Well, and it really speaks volumes to your team, because when it's a first-time home buyer transaction, it by nature of that relationship, and it's referral based, they're going to stay with you. So you get to help them through those next homes, and quite likely to that, the last home, that downsizing and that sort of thing. We've heard it said, of course, when we talk about real estate, that it is a very stressful time. You even mentioned it. Your job is to help make it as stress-free as possible. Oftentimes when we're buying a home, there is some other big life event going along with it, right? A marriage, the birth of a child, the family's growing, or downsizing, I mentioned, sometimes a divorce. So it's great to hear you say that this is about the people and the home that they're trying to create for themselves, or the one that they've loved so much and they have to leave.
Yeah, I mean, home ownership, is, as corny as it sounds, is still part of the American dream. And they say that being involved in a real estate transaction is the second most stressful thing that anybody can be a part of, next to losing a family member. And so, part of our core values is realizing that our clients are super stressed out and that we need to be there for them, not as a salesperson, but as a coach, a therapist, a financial advisor. You wear all these different hats, and I'll get phone calls from some of our clients daily, just like super panicky. And it's my wife, she's getting to hear, she's operating in the room next door, and we have thin walls, and she's like, "You're so nice on the phone." And I'm like, well, I'm dealing with people who are super stressed out. I need to be calming and soothing and kind of coach them through this, because I get to do it every day. They're doing it once every 5 to 10 years. And so it's really important to kind of realize that you're not involved in a sales transaction. It's not my job to convince you to do anything. It's my job to provide you all the tools and resources and information that is important to you. So again, that you can make the best decision for you and your family on how to move forward.
And I can attest to Danny being real good at this, because obviously Danny and I, we were friends, we knew each other. But when it came time for me to buy, I actually was not a first-time home buyer, but it had been about 15 years since I had purchased a home. So I felt like a born-again home buyer. It was a new to me experience again. And Danny, you remember, I was nervous. I was like really nervous about the process. And there's so much that gets tied up into that process emotionally. It's like this huge purchase, but also like it's a deep, deep commitment of time. And for me, it was like, wow, I'm really planting roots in this place, I'm committing to this thing. And, it was one thing to know Danny as a friend, but it was getting to know a completely different side of him, seeing his expertise and his ability to calm my neuroses through a process. And I in particular at that time, I remember I closed, it was in the fall, and my schedule at the time, I was with MIM, and we had a special exhibition schedule where every summer we would produce, and fall we would open a special exhibition. And my closing date for my home was the opening date of the exhibition. And I was like, this is it. This is how I die. This is what stress is, right? And he was just great, every single step of the way. It was good. Got my keys that morning. We opened a show that night, and I could not have done it without Danny. Not at all.
And you survived.
Survived. Yeah. Let's do it again.
Now, yeah. Well, do you want to do that? I know you're speaking to us from your home office. Is this the beautiful home you're speaking about that I see in the background?
This
Isn't that fun?
Danny's fault.
When do we have that opportunity? Usually our guests are here at the studio with me, and I don't get to take a peek. And when Danny says my wife's right next door, I can see the wall, and I'd imagine she's hearing us right now. And Jessica said, I'm talking about my beautiful home, and it's a big commitment. I'm like, wow, I love those French doors behind you.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. So fun. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I'm ecstatic about the relationship that you all have together, how you're showing up for the community. Let's toss it back to Stella. Before we kind of close up the segment, I would really like to hear, how can we all get involved? What is the greatest need that you have right now? Clearly, we're not able to volunteer in traditional ways right now, but would you get us caught up on how we can support you guys right now?
Yeah, well, first I just want to say thank you so much to all of you guys for supporting us. That is just a testament to how the community has come together at this point. And it's really amazing. Some people will say, I can't, donate dollars, but I'm really good at making things. I could make masks. And we're like, oh, well, we really need those. Or, some other people will say, I can't help in that way, but I am really great at social media. I'm happy to post more things. So thank you so much to Myriad and everybody who is Help Savidge Company. Thank you so much as well. I just really appreciate you guys having us, and then for allowing us to be on your radio station, Karen. I just really appreciate that. So thank you guys so much. The community has done so many great things for us and has really outpoured their hearts and their resources, the creativity that they have has been really unique and different. We always say, it takes a village to raise a family, and we are that village that so many families rely on. So we're just really grateful of the response that we've received and things like that. So thank you guys so much. So how other people can help us, we're always right now in need of kind of the basic necessities that everybody else needs. So one of the things that we do at UMOM is to help with those basic necessities, access to food, shelter, obviously, medical care, things like that. So we need all of those same tools that we can provide for the families living on our emergency shelter programs, but also, just in general for the community to help out in that way. So right now, one of our biggest things as the season is starting to get hotter, we need cases of water. So that's something definitely that's really big as we're going to kind of transition into the summer season. If you can only imagine how hot it is outside, then think about how you don't have a home to live in to kind of cool off. It's really, really hard during the summertime here in Arizona. And then we're also in need of face masks, so adult and child sizes. So if you've ordered too many and you want to drop down and come by and drop some off for us, that'd be great. If you're, can't do anything financially, but you're great at sewing, you want to make some quality masks for us, we'd love for that as well. Welcome baskets is another thing that we're also collecting. When Danny came by, I gave him a tour and showed him one of the mock rooms. And actually, Danny, that room has been converted into a room for people who are needing it right now. So we showed him, though, a welcome basket, which is a laundry basket with a few different hygiene supplies, deodorant, toothpaste, things like that. It also includes towels and just kind of your basic necessities when you'd first come in, kind of like a hotel. So if you would first come into a hotel, you have all of the things that you need right then and there. That's really what we're working with the welcome baskets as well. We also add in a few additional things such as laundry detergent and things like that to really assist our families in that way. So welcome baskets is another thing. We have a Amazon wish list on Amazon, so you can take a look at all of our wish list there, and laundry baskets is one of those. And so you can see kind of what goes into that and what's comprised. Also, we have all that information on our website and Facebook, social media pages as well. And then we're also really looking for laptops and hotspots, tablets, things like that you are no longer using that are still functional. So we can't refurbish them for anyone. But if they have, the operating systems already ready, you're just not utilizing it anymore, you've graduated and you utilize a work computer, things like that, we'd love to accept that as well. We are trying to help our families who, especially our kiddos, who are still trying to have access to the education system and all those different things that their teachers are sending out. Our clients don't have the luxury of having a computer or laptop or things like that. So we're really looking to the community to help us with that so our kids can continue their education, and students as well. We have single women who live at our Holly Women's Center who are in college or they're trying to study. It also helps our families and our parents, our youth look for jobs, employment of any kind, and then also what are some other housing opportunities in the community. So those laptops, tablets, and Wi-Fi hotspots are really important to us at this time. In addition, just any kind of disinfecting cleaners or wipes or things like that. Again, we provide the necessities for our families, single women and youth. And so we need help to provide that for them on any given day within our emergency shelter programs. We serve about 800 individuals a day. So that's quite a few people at different locations, but there's a ton of people that are in need during this time. And so if you can imagine trying to provide for one family, we try to provide for 100 and almost 150 families, and then additionally 130 women, and then about 50 to 60 youth as well. So there's quite a few individuals that are in need at this time. And all of our ongoing and urgent needs are always posted for the public. And I'm happy to always contact out to different companies or people who say, we can't give at this time due to financial barriers, but we're definitely able to post it on our social media pages or things like that. So any tiny little thing that you can do is helpful. Even just being an advocate for homelessness is really important too during this time. Danny, you brought up some really great points, and Jessica, you really touched on it as well. But there's so many individuals in the homeless community that picture their dream house or the American dream, right, and living in their own place. And I love working at UMOM because I resonate a lot with the clients that we serve. My upbringing was very similar. One of the things that I always wanted and was passionate about, and I get teary-eyed thinking about it, but was a mailbox at the end of the corner. That wasn't something that we had. We moved around quite a bit. And so, that American dream, being able to provide for our community, even just the smallest things, but even at the level of like housing and things like that, so many of us think of, how could we, if we could live the perfect life, or if we could have the perfect home, or if we could have these different things, what would that look like? We also have an individual who works at our cafe, and she has been an amazing inspiration to so many. She often comes and speaks at some of our tours, things like that, to give the client perspective. She has about 5 children, and she's been really looking for shelter and services, and she came across hard times and experienced homelessness. But then when she finally got back on her feet through UMOM and living at our shelter service, she was able to really help start to provide for our kids. And she went through the homegrown training program through our Helpings Cafe and landed a really great job there. And she's amazing. If you guys ever have the chance, once we start to open up, please come down to Helpings. 100% of the dollars that go into that actually go back into our programming. So it's a social enterprise. But this woman, she always speaks to like how, her kids have always wanted a house with stairs, and they've always wanted like a place to call their own. And so finally, when she got back on her feet, she was able to provide her kids with a house with stairs. And so those tiny little things just mean so much to people who have come across hard times, and even people who don't. Those tiny little touches that you can make better for somebody is just really incredible. So whatever that looks like, I know I answered the question a little bit too much,
no,
but
not at all. It's perfect.
Those little tiny things, just anything that anyone could give to, assist and support us, just even advocating, hey, I heard one of my friends has a few extra laptops or a few extra, cases of toilet paper or things like that. Any supplies that we all kind of are looking for in this time. What are things that people could do to help? I know somebody that knows somebody. I'm going to post in my Nextdoor app. I know, I can't post this, but we could help with that. Or we do have financial dollars I'm happy to give. It's interesting because some people gave their stipends that they received from the government recently, gave 100% of it to UMOM. They're like, we really don't need it at this time, and $1,200 would really go a long way. So it's incredible what the community has done for us, and thank you guys all for what you've done as well. But the community, any tiny little thing is so worth it.
Oh my gosh, I totally get why they have you as this community director. You're fantastic. I love it. Jessica, before absolutely. Before we ask each of you, we'll start with you. That's what I should say. Please share which social media platforms we can find you, Mom, the website, and then the main physical location again for us. And if there's a phone number, what's the best way to find you guys?
Yes. In terms of donating and things like that, we definitely, I think our website is the best place to go. It is www.umom.org. And then we also have our Amazon wish list. It's located on everywhere, our website and our social media platforms. So you can go there and look in that way for our list and the link, and then it'll take you right there. You do have to sign into your Amazon account in order to see that wish list. So sign in, and then it'll take you to Amazon Smile and click around, and you'll find it. It's pretty easy. And then our social media sites, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn is another one that we've recently started on. So you can really just type us in, UMOM New Day Centers, and you'll be able to find us on any of our platforms. we've had to shorten them or lengthen depending on what platform we use. So they're all a little bit different. But if you search UMOM New Day Centers, you'll find us. Or also UMOM NDC New Day Centers is another one that you can find us on. So that's another way to look for UMOM. In terms of looking for services, if you're a family that's in need or things like that, we do have a what we call our coordinated entry site. It is called the Family Housing Hub, and there is a local phone number right now. There is some, they're trying to figure out how to take clients and how to do things like that. But basically, anybody who's looking for assistance or is, in need, especially if they're a family, they would go to the Family Housing Hub, and then they'd get an assessment. And then we work with 12 other organizations to help find, what's the best service for them throughout the Maricopa County. So I do not have that number off the top of my head. I can look for it in the next 2 seconds and get that to you. But that's another way, the best way for families to get assistance is through the Family Housing Hub. And there are additional resources on our website, umom.org, to find different services for families who are in need.
Wow. So great. Yeah, look for that number for us, if you will, and then help me remember to come back to you before we close up the segment. Jessica, if you could let us know who are your favorite clients to work with, how can we, who can we help put you in touch with, and then also where can we find you on the web and social media?
Sure. Yeah, I would say, in general, the people I work with, I work with people like Danny in the real estate industry and in the mortgage industry, but as you touched on before, Karen, I really work in all kinds of industries. I think what is special about what I do, or maybe different, is, it's marketing and it's branding and it's help, but it's really helping people that have a story to tell and helping them tell it authentically. It's taking whatever somebody's story is and not fitting it into a prepackaged box. It's letting them show their best selves in the way that they are most comfortable. I love doing that. I love helping individuals do that. I love helping companies do that. I have a special place in my heart for nonprofits, obviously. Also, I love helping artists because, having been an artist most of my career, I know it's sometimes hard to reconcile that left and right brain necessity that you have as a working artist. Sometimes it's hard to, I have on my logo where art and business collide, because if you're going to be a working artist, you have to marry the two. So I really enjoy helping people with that idea. Yeah, so you can find me. And I'm such a behind the scenes person that I'm one of these people who's really bad at promoting my own business because I've always been sort of behind the scenes. But you can find me online on Instagram. I'm at Savidge Photo. And Savidge, everybody likes, oh, why'd you choose Savidge? It's actually my last name. And it is not spelled as most people spell it. It's Savidge. It's Savidge Co. It's savagephotography.com. You can find me online, and Savidge Photo on Instagram.
I can't wait to go check it out. It's been a real pleasure to get to know you.
Likewise.
All three of you are all heart. I love it. And of course, wisdom as well. So that's great. Danny, let's finish up with you. If you could share with us how we can find you and the best way to get started in working with you.
Yeah, we're on all major social media platforms. My company is Myriad, AZ _ on Instagram. I'm Danny Brown, AZ on Instagram. Our website is myriadaz.com, and Myriad spelled MYRIAD. I also host my own podcast where I interview local business people doing cool things in Phoenix to help them promote their business. So that's a lot of fun. It's called Danny Brown Talks Phoenix, and you can find that on all social media, on all major podcast platforms. Or you can just call me on the phone, 480-707-2934. That's my cell phone.
Love it. Great. Thank you so much. And let's kick it back to Stella, who has a phone number for us if you're in need.
Yeah, so family is looking for the Family Housing Hub. The number is 602-595-8700. And we have different locations throughout Maricopa County that people can drop in. Please call before you go anywhere, just to make sure that we're meeting, regulations to make sure everybody's staying safe during this time. So definitely call. They can set up a appointment or tell you how they're handling appointments during this time. So 602-595-8700 is the number for the Family Housing Hub for families looking for assistance during this time.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to have all three of you stay on with me after we go off air just so I can do a couple of quick photos. So stay with me. I usually don't have to say that because you're sitting right next to me. A little different today. Thank you again for your time, your respect and love and compassion for each other and for our community in your service to UMOM. You've been listening to Phoenix Business RadioX, broadcasting live from within the Max 6 Conscious Workspace studio. Some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean business. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.